Welcome again to Bitcoin Mina in Abu Dhabi, where I have the awesome pleasure of speaking with Mithil Thakore, the founder of Velar. There's been a problem with Bitcoin because in decentralized finance, it could be built on Ethereum, Solana, and other chains, but after 15 years, it's not available for Bitcoin. You started a company that is going to make this available, or has made it available. Why is that important, and what problems has Velar solved in the space?
Sure. Thanks, Melanie, first of all, for having me. And Roxom TV is great. And thanks a lot and for coming down to Abu Dhabi. It's my hometown. I mean, it's where I'm based in Dubai. So thanks for having us. So talking about Bitcoin DeFi, it's been an interesting journey. I started Velar around 2 years ago. In February of 2023, almost 2 years ago, and at that time Bitcoin DeFi didn't exist. So Bitcoin has been in existence since 2009. It is the largest, most trusted, and most battle-tested blockchain out there. But until now, it was very underutilized. So how I look at it is that first of all, you need to understand Bitcoin blockchain is different from the Bitcoin coin. Bitcoin coin, which is worth almost $2 trillion now in market cap, or at its all-time high now, almost $100,000, is considered the digital gold.
Yep.
But Bitcoin blockchain, which facilitates the transactions of the Bitcoin coin, keeps them secure, has so many more use cases than just running the Bitcoin coin on it. What Bitcoin blockchain provides us is, I think, potentially a base to run the entire future generation's financial system on it. So using Bitcoin blockchain security, using proof of work mechanism on which Bitcoin blockchain runs, I think we can build an entire financial system of starting from decentralized finance, starting from DeFi that exists on Ethereum and other chains, which is much more secure, much more battle tested, and much more scalable, while also utilizing the utility and the liquidity of the Bitcoin coin, which is almost 50% of entire crypto market cap. So what was happening until now was that Bitcoin, even though it was 50% of entire crypto's market cap, was totally not utilized in DeFi. So what Bitcoin DeFi does is enables this entire 50% of dormant liquidity in crypto to get into DeFi, which will scale DeFi to a level which was not seen until now, but also it provides a much more secure environment to run DeFi on top of.
So is this a technology that needed to happen on like Bitcoin's path toward maybe taking out fiat currencies?
So no, I don't think so. So we are not competing against fiat currencies because when people will run DeFi in future on Bitcoin, people will run a version of fiat currencies on this DeFi infrastructure as well. So we are not competing against fiat currencies. We are not also competing against banking. But you can say the DeFi we are building on Bitcoin is not an alternative, but a supplement to the current banking system. And we are also not competing against banking system. But we have seen in 2008 financial crisis that banking system almost failed. We have seen, and it can happen again on a much bigger scale. If that happens, where do people go? Where do people park their funds? Where do people park their life savings? So what Bitcoin DeFi will enable, not right now, like we are really at the very beginning of entire Bitcoin DeFi, but maybe 10 to 20 years from now, what it will enable is an entire parallel infrastructure of finance where people can run their day-to-day needs, and that's what we are building for. Of course, we are starting with much simpler DeFi products that already exist on Ethereum and other blockchains, but eventually people will be able to choose if they want to go into banking or they want to run their entire lives, day-to-day finances based on Bitcoin DeFi.
Okay, so the focus is really utility. It offers people more utility.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's awesome. What sets Velar apart from any competitors that it has?
So when we started Velar, Bitcoin DeFi, as we see it now, didn't exist at all. Like there were around 2 Bitcoin L2s when we started. Now there are over 100 Bitcoin L2s. There are so many dApps that we also invested in. People are building now. At that time, there were 4-5 dApps with like less than 5,000 monthly users on Bitcoin DeFi. So when we started, we were very early. We built world's first Uniswap-inspired AMM DEX on Bitcoin. We built world's first perp DEX on Bitcoin using multiple Bitcoin L2s and using the security of proof of work blockchain. of Bitcoin, and even today. I don't think we have any direct competitors. Of course, we work with a lot of startups. Because we are building the whole DeFi infrastructure on Bitcoin. We work with stable coins, we work with oracles, we work with Bitcoin L2s, we work with so many other infra projects. But I don't think as of now we have direct competitors, especially in our flagship product, which is the PerpDex.
So you've worked on a bunch of different projects in cryptocurrency space before coming or founding Velar. What do you see as the next technological advancement that's going to need to take place?
I think so. So I have been in crypto since 2017. Since I graduated from my university, so I have literally done nothing else in my professional life. I'm a proper crypto native, and I've always tried to figure out what's the next thing in crypto. So in 2017, I started a smart contract auditing platform. At that time, crypto, like auditing in crypto, was not that big. There were a few companies. There were probably like 5 to 10 companies in auditing in crypto and smart contract auditing, and now there are few hundred companies. We did really well with that company. Then I started a hedge fund where we used to trade derivatives, because derivatives market was growing in crypto at that time, and now derivatives market consists of over 80% of all crypto volumes, especially perpetuals, which we used to trade. And then what happened was that perpetual markets, 99% of it was on centralized exchanges, and then FTX happened. There were rumors of Binance going down in 2022, so people lost trust on centralized exchanges. This is the reason I started building Velar, that the next big thing was to bring this huge derivatives and perpetuals market from centralized exchanges to decentralized exchanges. So one of Velar's flagship products is a PerpDex. But now that PerpDex is also built on Bitcoin, because PerpDexes built on other blockchains are not as secure and scalable, because they also don't allow you to use the Bitcoin liquidity, which is 50% of entire crypto market cap. Plus, they also doesn't provide security at the same level as what Bitcoin blockchain does, any other blockchain in the world. So the solution and the next big thing I thought was to bring this derivatives market, which was 99% on centralized, to decentralized, but also bring it on Bitcoin blockchain, not to take it to any other blockchains, just because of these two reasons of security and liquidity.
So can you talk specifically about the importance of liquidity in trading in general, even on the stock market?
Well, liquidity is everything, right? I mean, the more liquidity there is in the market, the more comfortable institutions are to in a decent term to ape into it. So of course we see a lot of new blockchains coming in every day, and there is a whole wave of meme tokens going on, which millions of people take part in it, but they are all small tickets, and so that makes it very volatile. That doesn't make the yield sustainable in those ecosystems. What you need to scale an ecosystem is you need a mix of retail plus institutions to take part in a industry to scale it, and that's what we have seen in stock markets. That's how Robinhood became really big, because Robinhood as a platform became a gateway between retail and institutions. So we have seen a huge lack of institutional participation in crypto, just because of a lack of trust with centralized exchanges and centralized custodians. But if it's decentralized, then it will make institutions more it will make them more comfortable to take part in it, and I think that's what will scale liquidity, especially after we have seen institutional adoption of Bitcoin. We have seen like BlackRock holds almost 800,000 Bitcoins now. There are so many other ETFs and institutions like MicroStrategy or big holders like the Winklevoss twins or Tim Draper. They're all holding thousands and thousands of Bitcoins, but they don't use that Bitcoin to earn yield on it or to use it in DeFi or in any other way, because there is lack of trust. And I think Bitcoin DeFi will solve that and will bring all their institutional liquidity, which will make us as an ecosystem a more sustained ecosystem rather than a cyclical ecosystem.
Okay, so the hope is that institutions that are going to see a huge increase in the ability to use Bitcoin for other things other than just accumulating.
Yes. So until now, institutions have started. So it was like a two-step process. Like first, we had to convince the whole world and institutions and countries to buy Bitcoin. Now that they are buying Bitcoin is a $2 trillion asset class now, and it is the largest asset class where people just buy it and hold it, and it's sitting dormant. People don't utilize it at all in any form. People don't earn any form of yield on it. People earn yield on every other asset class, including oil, including commodities, including gold. And stocks, but people don't earn any yield on Bitcoin. And institutions will need yield because they are not going to put more money if they cannot have some form of yield on it. And sustainable form of yield, I think, can happen on Bitcoin DeFi, and that's the infra we are building for institutions and retail both, to be able to now go to step 2, which is not just buy your Bitcoin, but also use your Bitcoin and earn yield on top of it.
Right, and so will that apply to governments as well who have been accumulating with?
Why not, right? I mean, because what we are building is an infrastructure where people will be able to use Bitcoin and earn yield on it. And once we have this infra at a sustainable, scalable level, where if governments are holding large amounts of Bitcoin, they can also put it without affecting their principal and earn sustainable yield on it. I think eventually governments will also start putting their Bitcoin to use in such kind of infrastructure. I think it's a few years down the line. It won't happen immediately because the Bitcoin DeFi is still at the cusp, at the very beginning of its journey, and the liquidity is very less. The infrastructure we are building has to also prove itself and better test itself in terms of security, scalability, and sustainability. But once that happens, we'll see everyone, institutions, governments, and retail participate in it.
Okay, and lastly, I just want to ask, because what better time could this conference have happened when Bitcoin is near all-time highs? But do you have any predictions for 2025 in terms of price?
So I am very active on my Twitter, which goes by the name of Rainfire, and I have said, so I have a holistic view on entire Bitcoin DeFi space. I think if everything goes well, and especially it's great after Trump was elected, and it's great for crypto industry in US and all over the world in general. I think we will see almost a 2x from here for Bitcoin. But what that does is it will bring a lot of liquidity in Bitcoin DeFi. So Bitcoin DeFi will almost at least 100x or more from here in that point, in a year, in terms of liquidity, in terms of depths. And my biggest prediction is that Bitcoin DeFi will become the biggest DeFi ecosystem, and it will overtake Ethereum and all other DeFi ecosystems within next 1 year. Awesome. And we are working towards it as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks a lot, Melanie, for having me.